Alright, in this lab we're going to draw a geometric shape. I'm going to break this up into two sections, one just to use the drawing tools and the other is to actually define it using constraints and dimensions. So let's get started with the first part. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to Onshape and click in the lower left on the plus to create a new part. We're going to create the Part Studio, and you'll see that on the bottom there's a tab for Part Studio 1. I'm going to right click on that. I'm going to click on rename, and I'm going to rename that to be, I'm going to call it Lab 3. I'm going to hit the green check to accept it, and at this point we're ready to start drawing. What we can see here is our drawing window. We have the three planes, the front, top, and right. I could actually select by clicking on one of those, or I can come over to the feature manager and click on right, front, top. Also, I want to point out that the origin is very important whenever we draw. I like to start drawing from that so that we have a starting point that Onshape knows about. So we're going to click on the top plane. The top plane is what I'm going to draw from. And now we're going to click on the view cube as well, so that I'll be looking normal to that plane. And now I can click on the sketch tool, so I'll create a new sketch on that plane, and I can use any of my drawing tools that we talked about in the overview lesson. So let's see, we're going to hit the line tool, and as I mentioned, I want to start doing drawing on the origin. So I'm just going to lock on, and we can see that it's become yellow. The origin has become yellow with a coincident constraint icon next to it on the right. I'm going to just start drawing. What's nice is even though it's showing the dimension, that's all relative. Even though I want to get it to be 2 inches, it doesn't have to be exact because we're going to dimension that using the dimension tool in a sec. So I'm approximately at 2 inches. I'm good. I'm just going to start drawing that shape. I'm going to go up. I'm going to come over. At this point, I can lock on to that point and extend it over if I know that I want these two vertices to be horizontal. And so now I'm going to come down. Each time I click, it locks in. We can see here I have both a vertical and I've created a horizontal relationship. So I'm going to lock on to here. And now I'm going to use my mouse to move my drawing window. As I'm doing that, you can see that the area is grayed in. That means I've completed a totally enclosed space from which I can do some 3D work with. The other thing now is I'm going to click on the center, the circle tool from my center point, and as I move my cursor over that line that I want to start drawing, you can see that a box has appeared. That's the midpoint. If I go on the end, I have an end point, left end point, right end point. You can see the constraint. And now as I move slowly, I can lock onto that midpoint again. Oops. And so I'm going to start drawing a circle, which is at the midpoint. And at this point, I've completed what I want to go over by just drawing the actual 2D geometry. So to save your work, make sure you hit the green check. Otherwise, if you hit the red X, everything will be gone.